Hi, welcome to Election Central, Brantford. And our guest, Ken,
Hello.
from the Green Party. Ken, welcome.
Thanks very much, Stephen.
Good to see you, man.
Good to
I'm
see
really
you as
glad
well.
you're here. We
Nice
have
to
already
meet you.
had some really great conversation in the past. You and I have been kind of knowing each other for a while. It's funny, we've been talking about how the heck do we know each other from the past. We're trying to figure that out.
Long enough we don't remember when it started. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, which I think is wonderful. But at the same time, I think you and I also get to know each other quite well, because anytime we meet at any event, we're always talking about initiatives. We're always talking about green initiatives, right? We're always also talking about, Brant large initiatives and all that. And that's what I always love talking to you about. You have some great conversation. And please just tell us, regale us with everything of what you want to do green. I can't wait to hear about it because I got so enthused about it. So
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and that's a big reason why I run as the Green Party of Ontario candidate, but why I engage in politics, and particularly during election time, because it brings those conversations to the fore.
Yeah.
I really wish that we could have more of those conversations, as you and I do, but in the public forum, I wish we could have more of those conversations on an ongoing basis, and I think we need to do it too. It's indicative of how broken our political system is that people don't really, talk about it enough between elections and get involved in their governance. And there is a lot of positive to talk about, and I like that approach. I really do, because too often, I think we're hearing about politics for the decisions are being made either for partisan reasons or for the corporations, and that we're forgetting about putting the people first. And as a result, we're seeing people disengaging from the political discussion because they don't see it as being relevant to them. And we need to make it relevant, because government is for the people. So we need to make sure that people are involved in the decision making, and that's really why I want to run. I want to have an honest conversation with Ontarians, and the Green Party wants to have an honest conversation with Ontarians about the challenges and opportunities that we have coming forward. So
I totally
let's do that.
agree. So, all right. So, give me, just as we're warming up here, getting to know you. Give me the ultimate dream of, if we could go green as a city, or as Brant, like total green. What would that look like to you?
Absolutely. Well, Brantford, Brant, and Six Nations as a trio of communities, I think, have incredible potential to be leaders in sustainable development. And sustainable development is something I like to talk about a lot, because energy is a big part of it. And here in our community, we've certainly seen that energy is a big part, and we can talk about renewable energy. But so is development from a growth perspective, and we need to talk about that as well. So those are the two aspects I would look at it. And the big issue, boundary adjustments locally. We need to, certainly protect our farmland, and we can talk about the loss of farmland, 365, the equivalent of 365 acres a day, or the city of Toronto every year. We just lost, we're campaigning on a platform to protect Class 1 farmland, absolutely, but also...
What's Class 1 farmland?
All land is rated in the province of Ontario from specialty crop through Class 1s through 7, I believe it is. But in terms of the arability and productivity of the land, so the absolute flat, farmland that's perfect would be Class 1 land, good rich soil, and then the more hilly, or the quality of the soil as it goes down goes through the various classes to Class 7. And so looking at the very best farmland, the prime farmland, Class 1, we look at, when we define prime farmland as Class 1s through 4, but looking at saying, at least with Class 1, it's only 0.5% of Ontario's farmland. It needs to be absolutely protected. And people say, well, who would build on that? And just 2 weeks ago in Brant, unfortunately, we saw another 225 acres of Class 1 and 2 farmland, the very best that we have, be rezoned for aggregate extraction.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why we need to have an absolute protection, so that we're not prioritizing, gravel over food and water. I don't know how we can make that choice as a province. But to get back to your question about sustainable development.
Yeah, give us the trifecta of what you see. Like, if you saw every house, like I would like to see every house, like with solar panels, wind power, and the thermal power, so that we're generating enough for our own individual homes and putting it back to the system. But like that's my dream.
It's
but what do you
It's
see?
absolutely possible. That dream is absolutely possible, and especially again here in Brant, we have the sustainability Brant Energy Cooperative that is doing fabulous work where the county has partnered with the citizens as a cooperative. I think the ownership model is about 70% county, 30% citizens, where there's investment coming from them, but also the return is coming back into our community, which is the most important part. So citizens have a say in how it's located, but are also participating in both the economic investment and the return on that investment in their community, as well as the return on the investment coming back into the community through the county as well. And Brantford has that same opportunity to follow that example or to use that example for solar on its community buildings. And of course, we can do renewables on our own homes as well, right? It's one of the biggest things that makes renewable energy one of the most democratic and efficient, because distributed energy where there's small generators everywhere is much more efficient than the localized or centralized distribution that we've had in the past. So again, bringing more money back into our communities and creating local jobs, right? Local jobs for our businesses.
Exactly.
We have a number of great businesses here in Brant and Brantford that and Six Nations that do renewable energy, and so we're creating local jobs for people, good small business jobs that are creating and fueling, strengthening our local economy. So absolutely, energy is that part of it, and it's very doable. So I'd like to see that too, and we've already got a good start on it with a leading example in our community.
I have two questions though. So you just mentioned something, but so recently they just sold the Brant County hydro.
Yeah, Brant County Power.
That's it. Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Like, who did that go to? Do we
it was sold to Cambridge North Dumfries Hydro.
Oh, okay.
So another small local distributing company, which is making it slightly bigger.
But it's staying Canadian.
It is.
Okay, good. That's good.
As I understand it, it is.
Yeah,
but
as we understand it.
Well,
I understand that one quite well.
No, I mean, I'm sad to see Brant County Power be sold, because I think it was a real jewel, and I think it has been, it has served the county well, and the county has done the citizens and customers of Brant. I'm a Brant County Power customer myself, and they do a fabulous job. And also, it's been a very smart utility from the perspective of building towards a smart grid and doing what it can. It is part of the energy plan to see some amalgamation of some of the small distributors, but I'm sad that it was decided to go that route. I think that we had a very strong asset in Brant County Power, and I hope that the continued involvement of the county in Cambridge North Dumfries Hydro as it goes forward, we'll see that amalgamation stays a strong player in our community, which is ultimately what we're looking for.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned the three areas of Brant, right? Who is leading in those areas between us, county, and Onondaga? Like, what are we doing? Like, who's leading in all that? Who's leading in the green energy, initiative?
Well, I would say that we're all leading in that initiative, and we all have our work
good.
cut out for us to do.
That's good to hear.
The Brant Sustainability Co-op that I talk about has people from all communities in it. The county has also partnered with Six Nations on another solar project as well. So I think that we're seeing the leading examples in our community that involve people from all three communities.
Right.
I think that we all have our work cut out for us, though, in terms of sustainable development in our communities. And the boundary adjustment issue really brings that to the fore, because we see a lot of discussion and a lot of discord between our municipal councils over this issue. And I think right now the discussion is unfortunate on both sides of the fence. It's not what's in the best interest of both sides, because whether it's 5,000 acres that the city wants or 3,300 acres that the county has counter-proposed, either way, that's not the way forward for development, either for the county or the city. Sustainable development really needs to encourage Brantford to build up and not spread out. And the same is true in the county. It needs to look at focusing on its urban centers, on its communities, and looking at ways to accommodate some population growth in those communities without just taking up more farmland. And the reason I want to get to is not just about protecting farmland, it's also an economic issue. And there's a lot of work done on the cost of urban sprawl by the Sustainable Prosperity think tank. And what they tell us is that the cost of subdivisions is much more expensive than what people think. So even in the city of London, very close to us, they looked over a 50-year period at 3 scenarios. One where they spread out the typical kind of subdivision expansion, what Brantford's looking at with single-family homes. They looked at a compact version where the city stayed exactly within its current borders, and then a hybrid version. And when they looked at the cost of it, they found that the spread out urban sprawl version versus the compact development was much more expensive, both in capital costs and also in operating costs. So the capital cost version was, I believe it was about 1.5 billion in capital cost for the compact version, but 4.2 billion to spread out. So that's a difference of 180%, or $2.7 billion more. To accommodate the same number of people, it was much more expensive to spread out, much cheaper, $2.7 billion cheaper to do it in the same geographic boundary. And Brantford has that potential. We have the potential to go well beyond the 40% infill that's targeted under Places to Grow, and it's cheaper to deliver those services. It was, in fact, 4 times cheaper in London's case to deliver the services under the compact scenario. They looked at costing about $2 billion a year to provide services to the greater community, or about $400 million a year to do it to the compact community. So a quarter of the cost to stay and develop. So when I talk about sustainable development, it's not about not achieving population growth. We can do it. There are smart ways to do it, and that's part of it. We can build energy, and we can also help our community to grow in modern and sustainable ways that are both more environmentally friendly. We can have a greater active community where people can bike and walk to work and use
a livable city.
A livable city that people can actually use those forms, not just for recreation, but for transit. When we have visitors that come to our company from places like Holland and other places in Europe, they're surprised that we only ride for recreation. And Brantford has beautiful trails for recreation. It is another great strength of our community, and thanks to our citizens and our council for building those assets. But we don't use our bicycles to commute to work. We don't use them as much as we could. We don't have that mechanism, and we need to do it more. We need to build that livable city, and with that density, we'll enhance our creative economy, we'll enhance our health, we'll enhance our livable, active lifestyles, and we'll save money doing it. It'll build our economy.
Perfect. That was awesome. Well said. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Now, we're going to move on to our... Ooh, I clapped my hands, but that doesn't mean we're going to cut. But just so you know, just telling the director, just so you guys know. It's all fun. We're going to go into our 3 questions. So, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Perfect. And thank you for all that information. That was really great. And near the end of the segment, you'll tell us where we can go to find you and your information, and where you can share all that too. So,
absolutely.
Question number 1. What inspired you to run in the riding of Brant?
Well, I've really talked about it in our previous conversation, but it is the incredible potential of Brantford, Brant, and Six Nations to demonstrate sustainable development for Ontario, and also to restore honesty and integrity to Queen's Park and to politics. We need to have an honest conversation about the challenges, and we need to end the partisanship of politics. I really do not. I think a good idea is a good idea regardless of where it comes from or who proposes it. And we need to come together and be willing to work together in order to take those good ideas and move them forward and make them represent the interests of the people. Put the people first, because I think it's going to take all of the good ideas and all of the good thinkers that we have working together to come up with the best solutions for our community.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you. All right. Question number 2. If elected, what would you like to have your legacy be?
Well, I would really like it to be being a model of nonpartisan cooperation and being able to reach out and work across party lines and putting the people of Ontario first, not the corporations. I think that we have to look at sustainable development in our community, and that's going to take everyone working together, and that's what I want to see. I would really like to be able to be seen as the champion of that model that bridges the gap, that brings our environmental, social, and economic needs together under one roof through one initiative,
Nice.
and sees the city of Brantford able to build up and accommodate the needs, see the county, the city, and First Nations, Six Nations be able to work together so that they spread the economic benefit. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but we do need to attract industry to our county and to our riding, I should say. We need to bring industry here, but we also need to look to ourselves to create jobs. And I think that the energy side of that has a lot of potential to create local jobs. We have a lot of strength in our community, and we shouldn't just be looking outside the community to provide jobs. We can look inside, and there's a lot of things. We also want to help invest in people's homes is another thing, to help us make ourselves more energy efficient. And it's part of that sustainable community to be able to invest in people's homes, to make our homes more energy efficient and our businesses more competitive, right? I don't know if you know, but we use 50% more electricity per person than our neighbors in New York State, and we use twice as much electricity per person or twice as much energy per person as people in the United Kingdom. So
wow, I never knew that.
we have a huge thing. We have a lot of work that we can do by investing in people's homes that will make it more affordable for them, and by investing in our businesses to make them more energy efficient and cost effective globally. So I think there's a lot of work we can do, and that again creates lots of local jobs, right? So for the cost of one new nuclear plant, we can retrofit 1.2 billion homes and for half the price and create 90 times as many jobs, and they're good local jobs for the people of Brant to be able to
Got it. So your legacy would be all encompassing, so every home is efficient, every person is minded, like-minded and aware of the economic downfall and benefits for everything that we do. But even that little tidbit about how much energy we use here, that's wild. So thank you for sharing that.
And most importantly, that we're all working together and sharing the benefits that our communities have to offer jointly. So whether the business is located in Brant or in Brantford or on Six Nations, all three communities should be sharing in the economic benefits of it. And all three communities should be participating in the decisions that are made. Something that gets lost in provincial politics is the need and participation of community consultation, right? In both locating and also in owning municipal and community renewable energy projects and all of the decisions that we need to make.
So your legacy would be bridging everybody, communicating, connecting, everything. That's wonderful.
And championing sustainable development in the process. Absolutely. Thank you.
Nice. Well said. Okay. Question number 3. What can you say to our viewers right now to encourage them to get out and vote?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm really glad that's part of our discussion today, because a lot of people say to me that they're concerned about losing their vote in our first past the post system, and I'm certainly a champion of proportional representation as well, and changing our system. But in the system that we have right now, a lot of people are concerned with that, with strategic voting and losing their vote depending on how it goes. But nationally, I think I've said we lose. We only see about 60% of the voters voting, or of the electorate voting, and provincially it's even worse. We only see about 50% provincially of the voters voting, which is just terrible. That means basically half of the people aren't voting, and those numbers bear themselves out locally as well. In the last elections, even since 1999, we've only seen about 45,000 of the over 90,000 electors in Brant actually casting a ballot. So for me, that's not an issue of people losing their vote. That's an issue of people abandoning their vote.
Exactly.
And that's really, really hard in a country that has fought to be democratic and to preserve its democracy. I think that what I would say to really motivate people is to understand what those numbers mean. So in the since 1999, the incumbent, the most votes he's received in one election is about 24,000, just over 24,000 votes, and 45,000 people didn't vote, meaning that there's a significant opportunity for those people who don't think that there is a candidate, or whatever the reason is, to be able to elect somebody. But it's even more than that. If you look in 2011, the top 3 candidates took in, between the three of them, about 43,000 votes, just over 43,000 votes. And so what that means is for the people who didn't vote, if they voted together, they could not only elect their own candidate, they could elect a candidate that beat all three of the top three working together. I mean, that's a significant reason to get out and vote. There is power in our votes. We need to get out. We need to be able to exercise and cast our vote for democracy and to do it.
All right. So that camera right there, tell them why they should get out and vote.
You need to get out and vote to exercise your democratic right and be a part of the governance that affects you. Be a part of the decisions that affect us every day, whether your issue is health care, whether it's sustainable development, whether it is our economy, about creating jobs. It doesn't matter. Whatever your issue is, you can be a part of that conversation, and voting does make a difference. Run a candidate, get informed, understand the issues that are out there, understand where the parties and the candidates themselves stand, and cast a ballot for something, not against something. Unfortunately, I find a lot of people are afraid of something happening. We need to vote for something. Vote for what you want to see in our society. The advanced polls are open May 31 to June 6th, and election day is June 12th. Please get out and vote.
Perfect. And last tidbit of information, where can they find you?
Absolutely. I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook/kenburns.brantgreens is my Facebook page, and that's really Campaign Central online for us. We're looking at engaging with our voters online through the Facebook page. You'll see a lot of the media coverage, what I've said in the media, as well as pictures of our campaign, pictures of us on the street and at different events.
Is there a phone number or anything that they can get you at too?
Absolutely. 519-770-5305 is our campaign line, and you can reach me directly at 519-770-5300. Encourage voters to call, talk, email Ken Burns at Brant Greens. Ken Burns, all one word.
Yeah, and they can get their signs from you and all that other stuff and get involved and find out about
and get involved, come out to events and challenge me on issues. And I like the discussion, and I like people that just want to get informed with all of the candidates. I'm happy to talk to everybody, and I'm happy for more people to get involved and understand all of the perspectives so that you can cast an informed ballot.
Okay, and your website?
Is the Facebook page, facebook/kenburns.brantgreens.
Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate you taking the time and coming out here and being part of our community. So.